A very good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the day one of 2-day Global Waste Management and Innovation Conclave. And we are in the inaugural session now. We are in the times of COVID-19 era. And in this time, the significance of waste management and pollution control has further. Though this time has thrown challenge at humankind, it has also given us the opportunity for innovation, use of emerging technologies, and various other best practices in waste management and pollution
अच्छा
control.
I'm in
And
can you
this
talk
particular
faster please?
conclave would be focusing on the various initiatives, best practices, innovations, and the cutting edge technologies and the way forward in the sector of waste management and also the pollution control. Without further ado, I would like to call upon all our eminent speakers who have joined us from across the country. Let me first welcome and join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, who is the man behind the revolutionary smart city mission of by the government of India, and an amazing personality and administrative innovator, Sri Durga Shankar Mishraji, who is the Secretary for Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. Welcome, DS Mishra sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We are also joined by yet another senior bureaucrat who hails from the Telangana cadre, now with the Government of India, Sri G. Ashok Kumar, Additional Secretary and Mission Director with the National Water Mission, Ministry of Jal Shakti. Welcome, Ashok sir. Thanks for joining us for this unique conclave. And we are also joined by uh, a senior bureaucrat who represents the United Kingdom, Government of United Kingdom. He has done some amazing work on ground. He is the Deputy High Commissioner with Deputy High Commission, British Deputy High Commission for the Telugu states, that is Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. They are also with the uh, doing some amazing work on ground in terms of environment, pollution, and also urban sector. Let me welcome Dr. Andrew Fleming, who is the Deputy High Commissioner with the British High Commission. Welcome, Dr. Andrew Fleming. Let's move on to our next speaker, Mehnaz Ansari. She's a senior regional representative, South Asia, Indo-Pacific region, U.S. Trade and Development Agency. Thank you very much, USTDA. Ms. Ansari ji, thanks for joining us. We are also joined by yet another eminent speaker, who is Prabjot Sodhi. He is the head for Circular Economy, United Nations Development Program, India. Thank you very much, Mr. Sodhi. He joined us. And at the same time, we will also be joined by a senior bureaucrat from the state of Telangana, Srimati Neetu Kumari Prasad. She is the member secretary for Telangana Pollution Control Board. And we are also joined by my colleague, co-founder, group editor for the APAC News Network, Mr. Souvik Goswami. Welcome, Mr. Souvik. With this, over to you, Mr. Souvik.
Thanks, Sudhi. As you have introduced all the eminent speakers for the inaugural of first edition of Global Waste Management and Innovation Conclave, before I hand over the session to the keynote speaker for the inaugural of this session, Sri Durga Shankar Mishra, Honorable Secretary, Housing and Urban Affairs, India. Mission in last 5-6 years in India with smart city mission, Swachh Bharat, housing for all, urban livelihood mission. A lot of steps have been taken in last 5-6 years in India to bring about urban transformation, and a lot of focus has also been given to waste management and innovation. Without taking much time, let me request Sri Durga Shankar Mishra, Honorable Secretary, Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, to present the keynote address and his vision on the importance of waste management in the new normal, post-pandemic, new world order. Sri Durga Shankar Mishra.
Thank you, Souvik. Thank you, Sudhir, for the initial introduction. A very good morning to everybody who has joined this 2 days conclave on the global waste management and innovation. So let me at the outset first thank APAC News Network for organizing a conclave on such an important subject. And also excuse me for, I shall be leaving immediately after my address. That looks very rude, but I'll have to leave immediately. You may be aware that this country is going to lay foundation of the new parliament building tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And the whole nation, 135 crores Indians, will be participating in that event. This happens once. This is for the first time such a parliament building is going to come, and this building will be done in just 2 years, so that we get our first winter session of 2022 in the 75th year of Indian independence held there in that new parliament building. And my ministry is the one who is working on this whole thing. So I have to be, very busy with all this program. So I'll leave immediately after this address, and will miss the addresses by various other eminent speakers, including Andrew Fleming, Mehraj, my friend from Water Resources, and various others who are going to participate in the first session. I will also request you, if you get something very important, kindly document that and do share it with us, our ministry, because our ministry leads this subject of waste management in the urban areas of the country. So if there is some learning, we will definitely like to use that. With this introduction, I would like to mention that currently the whole world is facing this global pandemic, COVID-19. Think of it. Our countries, the way we have addressed under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, right from the beginning, this has been praised in every nook and corner. Everybody has praised the way this country has addressed this issue. And we have been able to contain it very, very significantly. But think of it, if Swachh Bharat Mission, all the achievements of the Swachh Bharat Mission were not there, what we have done in the last 6.5 years, there might have been other kinds of pandemic. When the people were confined to houses, I myself have gone through this COVID positive case and been confined to my house for 3 weeks. So when the people were confined, when the whole activities were stopped, and cleaning is something which is must. We all produce waste. Wherever we are, in the rural area, urban area, any part of the world, we are going to produce waste. If this waste was not collected, this waste was not transported, this waste was not treated, think of the other side effects of this pandemic. So let's thank what we have done in the last 6.5 years through the Swachh Bharat Mission. Currently, we have got more than 99% of our cities, but for 35 cities of the West Bengal state, all cities are ODF, open defecation free. People don't have to defecate outside. Even for the West Bengal, they need to get this certified. I think they must have done it. We are waiting for their clearance so that we can get that certified. On the waste collection, we have got almost 97% waste is collected door to door. 77% of the waste is being segregated at source, and 68% is being treated scientifically. This number used to be just 18% only a few years back. It's a huge challenge, but it has been done, and it is being done. Even on the wastewater, a lot of activities had taken place in last few years. Because that's another challenge. That is, when this wastewater goes to the rivers, through the rivulets, goes to the other water bodies, it pollutes that and impacts ultimately the human health. in different manners. So for that, fecal sludge and septic, the usual technique of going for the sewer network and sewage treatment plant, such a costly, such a when it's a cost-intensive project, time it is such a long time it takes to implement that, and so much of inconveniences. We adopted system of fecal sludge and septage management, and that is percolating very fast in different states. Almost all the states have gone for, especially for the outer areas of the big cities or for the smaller cities, rather than going for the network, rather than going for STP, they go for this, and also for a co-treatment or the treatment of the fecal sludge by itself. This whole world of cleanness has, I mean, in the last 6.5 years, there's so much of innovation. So many new ideas have come. Lot of startup ideas. Mr. Sodhi is here in this. Mr. Sodhi has been participating through the UNDP in different cities, the cities of Indore, various other cities, in treating this waste. I used to be Principal Secretary of Urban Development in one of the largest state of this country, Uttar Pradesh. This was the year 2010 and 11. At that time also we were driving this waste treatment, but our technique was very age-old technique. I mean, completely taking all the waste, taking the waste to a place, then segregating that waste at that site, using electromechanical devices, and then treating that. It was so costly that all the projects, all the plants which have been constructed in that era, they either, I mean, they were either stopped, or because of financial sustainability, they could not continue. There was a huge waste of resources. But there has been so much of learning in the last 6.5 years. When you segregate waste at source, you get so much of wealth out of it. Government has come out with policies which will support this waste generation through the waste, wealth generation through the waste, whether it is the wet waste or whether the dry waste. And the cities and various other stakeholders, they have come out with innovative ways how to segregate this waste so that you can get wealth out of each and every component of it. Even the plastics are graded in different manners so that they get you the maximum money. Some of the states like Chhattisgarh, this has become it's a zero waste state. 100% waste is being segregated. The dry waste, wet waste is being composted or being biomethanation plants are there. Recently, Indore has come out with the largest biomethanation plant, 200 tons per day, and they are going for 550 tons. I mean, if you are following my tweets, they have now come out with getting the carbon value. I mean, they're now earning from that waste in a different manner, not only directly but indirectly. And apart from that, I mean, all that huge garbage dump which used to be there, that is treated, and now it is the green lungs of the city. Now there is a, I mean, the people, the citizens are going and enjoying that area. There's so many products which has come out of the plastics, come out of the various other kind of waste which we could not have thought of. So this innovation to help in managing the waste is so much important. I have seen and I have met, and we are working with them, various young creative students coming out of IITs or NITs or private institutes. They are working on how to come out with models which will be sustainable model, which will be cost effective model, which will be environmentally acceptable model. How to use these things so that the same waste, and which has got to be there. I mean, it is something which we cannot do away. We can only play with it in the sense that we can reduce, we can reuse and recycle by adopting certain techniques, by improving our behavior. And these three are technique. In fact, let me tell you, the total waste generation in the country, in the urban areas, have gone down. per person has gone down. Our statistic now, it is completely online. I mean, all that waste is being generated, is being captured. It has come down. It has come down through a campaign, a serious campaign, which has gone into the public and people. I mean, let me mention this. Managing waste is not a very simple thing. Honorable Prime Minister, in his address at the time of the first anniversary of Swachh Bharat Mission, launch of Swachh Bharat Mission, he said that hundreds of Gandhis can come, thousands of Modis can come, but they cannot clean this country. This can be cleaned only if all that 135 crores Indian citizens, they decide that they will not keep the place unclean. They will make the place completely clean. That's good for them. And that is what has happened. The innovation is not into treating the waste, but innovation has gone into changing the behavior of the people also, involving the people, all communities, all kinds of community. The challenge which Honorable Prime Minister took, that by 2015, 15th August of 2015, all schools will have a toilet. This looked very impossible, but it was quite there. It was quite there. 2015 August especially, it made so much of change to the girl education. In a lot of schools, the girls were not going just because they didn't have the toilet facilities. And now we have got, the number of toilets which have been constructed in the urban areas, more than 6 lakhs of the public and community toilets, more than 65 lakhs of the individual toilets. And not only these toilets are there to get us open defecation free, but also we have added layers of ODF plus, ODF plus plus, and now water plus, so that the toilets are kept hygienic, because it is not only constructing the toilet, but you should use the toilet, and you can use it only if there is water is there. You maintain it hygienic condition. So we are testing that. There is a protocol for seeing that your toilets are maintained hygienic, they are clean, water, electricity, etc. are there. That's a ODF plus, and the ODF plus plus is, we have constructed so many toilets. People were mostly going to defecate outside. Now this is with so much of fecal sludge which is being collected at different spots, different places, because of these toilets. Unless and until we take it out and we transport it safely, also treat them safely, this will become a major hazard later, because we are only delaying. It's just a question of, we have postponed the problem for today. And that is why this fecal sludge and septic management, which has gone into the country in a very fast manner. Now a lot of the states have accepted, and they are adopting it, they are implementing it in the states, in the cities. This is helping in a big way. So these are the kind of innovation. Recently, we have launched a challenge. This is our Safai Mitra Suraksha Challenge. Last year, we had launched a challenge, which was basically adopting the challenge for technology, so that the people do not need to enter into the sewage system. That should be the last resort. We should use the machines to clean our sewer, to clean our septic. Because a lot of people have lost their life. The numbers are very, very difficult to digest. Almost like 750 people lost their lives in the last 3 years. And we are talking in the year 21st century. So what is that we can do? The ministry has been working on various kinds of models, various kinds of systems to be developed. One, if a person is needed under a great emergency to enter the sewer to clean it, he should enter only if he is properly trained, he is under proper gear, he is sufficiently equipped to handle the situation, because the gas is there, he should have oxygen and all those things should be there, and he should be under proper supervision, so that his entry and exit is seen. And people have been entering into the sewer system without all this, and they're losing their lives. And then everybody's life is so precious. Now we have issued this Safai Mitra Suraksha Challenge, which is going to be there till the month of March. And this challenge We want our cities whose population, which is either a municipal corporation or which is a capital of the state cities to start with, so that they come out with, acquire. Now we have got the technologies. All this sewer and sewer network, the acceptance point, they can be cleaned using the technology. Then all cases they should use the technology for cleaning all this. They should acquire the technology to clean up all this, either acquire or hire. But in case if there is such an emergency where it cannot be done and it is being done across the globe that can affect, then the person who enters the sewer, he should be fully geared to manage the challenge through the training, through the garb which he is wearing, through the equipment which he is carrying, and through the supervisory system from the outside, who could see that his life is fully safe and secure and he attends to the requirement. It is just like the fire. When the fire is there, you can use the extinguisher, you can use the various kinds of things to extinguish it, but at certain point, the fireman has to enter in the fire. But he doesn't enter into fire like us. He enters into fire with a proper gear. He enters the fire with the proper equipment. He enters only if he is properly trained, so that he knows first he has to save his own life, then only he can save anybody else's life. Same is the case for the sewer also, for the septage also. So this is the kind of innovation I'm talking about. The innovation is to make our life comfortable, to make our life easy. And for that, I see that now there is a huge hunger across the country among the IITs graduates, among the NIT graduates, among the various private institute graduates to come out with various things. I really get impressed if they come out with various kind of products, something which you could not even thought of. But our boys, our girls, they are coming with such things, and they are helping us in managing the waste. In fact, our country, with the current population, I mean, we are around 34-35%, that's the projection today, is the urban population. The number should be close to say around 40 crores plus right now. It's around 42, 43 crore right now. But this is projected to go to nearly 60 crores by 2030. This is projected to go towards more than 80 crores by 2050. And 2050 is not much. This is just 3 more decades. In the 3-4 more decades, we are going to add almost the same population, which is today 40 crore, another 40 crore in the next 3 decades. Think of it, the amount of waste they are going to generate, whether it is the solid waste, whether it is the liquid waste, or whether it is the wastewater. How are we going to manage that? Unless and until we take the innovative path, unless and until we come out with ideas which are conducive to the requirement of the environment, because everybody will endorse this. We need to become sensitive to the environment, and our country is fully committed to save the environment. Our commitment is unequivocal on the Paris Accord. I mean, the country is moving towards that, whether it is in terms of energy, in terms of waste, in terms of various other parameters. It's a multi-pronged approach, which I need not dwell upon. This is the area of the Ministry of Environment and Forest, but the various activities which are going on. So this waste management, which is a huge challenge and which is going to be there, and that is why this Swachh Bharat mission, all that achievement we have done, now we are going to consolidate on all those things. We are moving for the next Swachh Bharat mission 2.0, where we will consolidate our learnings from the 1.0. We want to focus more on the technology. We want to focus more on the innovations. We want to focus on more on change of human behavior, so that we reduce, reuse, and recycle. We reduce the waste, and we get the best, whatever best we can get out of it. We move towards a regime of a zero waste, and that's possible. It's a through a contribution and participation of our academia, participation of our industry, participation of all the urban local bodies, to the state government and the central government will all work together as a team India towards achieving this dream of Honorable Prime Minister. I mean, think of it. When he announced this on 15th August, I was very much there. 15th August 2014 from the ramparts of Red Fort, which is the famous, I mean, every year, the Honorable Prime Minister of this country uh, speaks to the nation and his very first address as the Prime Minister of this country. He committed for a resolve to make this country clean when we celebrate when we celebrate the 150th birthday of our father of the nation. The country was stunned. There was so much debate in the intelligentsia. They said a prime minister committing like this, how this is possible? We are not a clean country. Let's not forget. This country used to be a real clean country. Go back, say 1,000 years back. See the kind of, I mean, you see the images, see the kind of our practices. You see our the old cities, how clean they used to be. It's only over the last, say, few hundreds of years that we have forgotten ourselves. We've forgotten what we were. Honorable Prime Minister only reminded us that we 135 crore Indians, we need to take a resolve. We need to understand that we can make that difference and make that difference to make this country clean. If the country is clean, it is Swachh, it is Swasth, it is Samarth, it is, I mean, everything you can think of. This country will move into that regime. Makes us where we don't spend so much on health. When our capabilities are scaled up, our contribution to the economy is going to go up. Our contribution to the society is going to go up. We'll all be more happy and healthy families, happy and healthy Indians. That is what the dream of Swachh Bharat is. And let me thank you, Souvik, your group, APAC News Network, for organizing this 2 days 2 days conclave on such an important topic. And I really like this word using the waste management and innovation, because waste management per se not possible. Waste management along with innovation, and when I say innovation, let's not just confine ourselves to the technology. Yes, technology is very important. IT is very important, but human behavior is also so much important. We have to think of all aspects of the waste, whether it is a solid waste, liquid waste, wastewater, every aspect of it, whatever the human beings are generating, how we can manage it to make this country real clean. And that was the dream of our father of the nation, which he stated in the year 1916 at the time in the BHU 1916. And that is the resolve which our Honorable Prime Minister made from the ramparts of the Red Fort on 15th August 2014. And that is, I cannot say that we are fully there, but we are moving towards that. And when the nation gets into this innovative mood, no power on the earth can allow us to continue unclean. In fact, now people have started enjoying this, living in a clean environment, living in a Swachh Bharat. And I'm very confident that we are moving to that direction. I thank you, Souvik, for inviting me to give this keynote address, and look forward to your inputs after your 2 days conclave. It will be used by us in the ministry for moving it forward. I wish everybody, whosoever is participating from whatever area, because I saw the kind of participation is a very it's a large segment of stakeholders who are participating in this workshop. They should all contribute positively. This is contribution towards the new India, which is Samarth India, which is Sasakt India, which is Swabhimani India. That's the India. And tomorrow we are going to lay the foundation of, our Honorable Prime Minister will be laying foundation of the new Parliament building, which will stand for itself as the pride of this nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Durgachan Honorable Secretary, Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs. And as you have said that it's all about innovation and technology, leveraging innovation and technology for waste management, but human behavior also has to play an important role. And I'm sure the flagship programs of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, is moving to the right direction to make this country clean, neat, and Swachh with leveraging innovation. And as you have said, we'll be making an event report, sir, and we'll be compiling the stakeholders' opinion made in this conference and will be presenting to you so that action can be taken on as you have suggested. With this, thank you so much. Though you're down with COVID, still you got time to join us. Thank you so much, Shri Durga Shanga Mishra, Honorable Secretary, Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, for delivering the keynote address in the inaugural of Global West Management Innovation Conclave and setting the tone of the discussion for coming session as well. Over to you, Sudhi.
Thank you. Well, I'm not no more on the COVID positive, COVID negative. Already I'm there. In fact, I've been coming to my office in the last 1 week. So, till 21st, I mean, I started coming to my office from the last 1 week, and COVID negative now.
Right.
Thank you.
Oh, that's great. That's great news for all of us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Souvik, for that initial introduction and for the keynote address by D.S. Mishra, Secretary for our Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India, the man behind the Smart City mission of the country. So with this, I would like to move on to next speaker, who is yet another senior bureaucrat with the Government of India. Currently, he is leading a very important mission, that is managing and harvesting the rainwater and groundwater, and it's being driven very passionately. And at the same time, he is the additional secretary and mission director with the National Water Mission, Ministry of Jal Shakti. To his credit, he has been a winner of Telangana Excellence Award in 2018, also Jal Mitra Award in 2002. He initiated several initiatives. He was also the joint secretary for Ministry of Civil Aviation with the Government of India, and as a principal secretary for the BC Welfare Department, he established over 119 English medium residential school in each assembly constituency. We are glad to have him as our special guest. Join me in welcoming Mr. G. Ashok Kumar. He is the additional secretary with the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Thank you very much, sir, for joining.
Thank you, Samik. It was wonderful to hear Durga Shankar sir laying the foundation for this wonderful talk, redefining the wastewater management post-COVID era. Actually, come to think of it, probably now we talk about AC and AD and BC. Now we should talk about post-COVID and before COVID and after COVID. Something that's the time of generation which has now come, because the whole paradigm of life has changed. What we used to do has changed. Our style of functioning has changed. And see, some of the things are like this webinar. We never used to think about it, but now we have webinars almost every day from various parts of the world, various parts of the country coming together and discussing. So this is all something which new innovation happened in the post-COVID time. But having said that, this is a VUCA world now. Lot of volatility, lot of confusion, lot of unknown things are there coming up. But then we are, as a human race, trying to cope up with that. Sir was telling about the change which India had brought in about last couple of maybe 6, 7 years in the urban waste management side. Probably with the change with the COVID, the characteristic of the urban waste itself change. Waste would have itself changed. A lot of mass is coming up. A lot of biological waste are coming up. Production of many things have gone down. So those industrial wastes have come down. So there is a change in the composition of waste itself, probably in the post-COVID. So these are things which we should address. India, as statistically speaking, happens to be the largest, third largest producer of municipal solid waste, with about nearly almost 100,000 tons per day, basically because of the high population and the high urban population which is coming up. Of now, it's 33% in 2015, but as sir was telling, we may move to about 50% in 2050. A huge 80 crore population would be moving to the urban area, so urban waste generation would also be very high. Um, there were instances where the poor waste management had created a lot of problem in the country. We remember very dreadfully the Surat plague in 1994 because of the uncollected solid waste blocking the drains, and then we had the infamous floods in 2005 in Mumbai, where plastic bags actually contributed, choking the drains contributed a lot for this flood. So there is a lot of issues which we are now facing because of this waste management, improper waste management. And a very new phenomena in the last 10 years is the urban flooding. We never used to hear about urban flooding when we were young, but urban flooding has also become very common. Recently, Hyderabad also had a lot of issue with floods, and almost a month, the many places of the city were underwater. So there were a lot of issues regarding the urban waste management, which is now throwing up challenges to us. And then, as sir was telling, we had been very forefront, taking it head on and trying to find solutions to it with innovation, and have been very largely successful in this. Probably we were better in the cleanliness part of in the rural areas with the Swachh Bharat mission taking up about 100 million toilets constructed in the rural areas, and a lot of emphasis given on behavioral change, which again sir was mentioning. These are all very interesting changes which we have seen in the last many years. I'm just talking about coming to National Water Mission, which is set up in 2011 as a part of the National Action Plan on Climate Change. So we generally look at the quantity of water available to ensure the sustenance. You remember, you see, with the water, the Ministry of Jal Shakti, Department of Drinking Water and Sanitation has taken up this program for sanitation in the rural areas, which we have mentioned about it, and also about giving tap connections to every rural household, functional tap connections in every household. That is being taken up. And in urban areas also, the water issue is becoming a major problem. Many places, summertime, you find a lot of tankers being run to supply water. So that's where we, from the National Water Mission, came out with this campaign called "Catch the Rain Where It Falls, When It Falls." Basically, to try to conserve the water which we get in the country, rainfall which we get in the country. If you look at it, India is not a water scarce deficit country. We have sufficient rainfall, though there is a skewness in temporal and spatial aspect. We get about 1100 minimum rainfall average over the country. Of course, there is some western side you have very less rainfall in Thar area, 100 mm, and on the eastern side, probably Andamans and Meghalaya, we get about 3000 mm rainfall. So large variation of rainfall pattern is also there, and okay, spatial time frame temporarily. If you look at it, it happens during the monsoon periods from maybe June to December by the monsoon and the retreating monsoon. So we get monsoon rainfall in 4-5 months of the year, and then that water has to be retained for the remaining part of the time of the year. So we have come out with this campaign, "Catch the Rain Where It Falls, When It Falls," which will help us in sustaining the water sources for the summer and winter summer periods in urban areas. But that, having said that, if you have good water coming in, this much also will be generated. 80% of that will come back as sewage. That's where the challenge. You store water, save water, and get the water through pipe connections to the houses. But 80% would come back as sewage. But 5-6 years back, we had a very bad status of as far as sewage handling was concerned. We had only about 33% of the sewage which was going to sewage for treatment, and many of them were not functional. But over the years, the last 6 years, probably a lot of emphasis has been taken to get it functional. Otherwise, all these sewage generated in the cities, particularly in cities, used to be thrown out to the local water bodies. That's where I'm concerned because my water was getting polluted. All the water bodies in the cities, lakes, Hyderabad, I remember there were over 400 lakes, which when I was in Huda, Vice Chairman Huda, we tried to identify about 176 lakes were identified, but many of them were vanished. There, we found that encroachment has taken place, the area of the lake has shrunk, and most of these water bodies, lakes, were used as cesspools for letting in the sewage and became very rampant dirty water. That has changed, of course. We have taken up a lot of activities on rejuvenating these rivers and lakes. Many lakes have been converted to good water bodies with some boating, cheating, and all these things, and lakes and gardens around it. In fact, some Saror Nagar and all these things, AS Rao Nagar and all, very good lakes have come up, which is a very, very beautiful area with people walking around it. That type of improvement has come up. But all over the city of India, if you look at it, urban bodies, water bodies have been encroached upon and is becoming a cesspool for all the sewage which is generated in the city. And whereas if there's a river flowing by, all the sewage from the municipalities and towns go to the rivers and get polluted. So these are the very major challenges in India of the pollution of water bodies because of the urban waste. But as Sir was mentioning, the municipal water waste is getting segregated and collected and getting processed. Very good thing. Many innovations have been done. Many attempts have been made to prevent the sewage water from going to the rivers directly by using treatment plants. Namami Ganga is one mission for looking at for the treatment of water in the Ganga basin. National River Development Programs also there, which we are trying to learn from this experience in Namami Ganga and use in other cities for the use of treated water being used to be put in the rivers. There is a lot of innovation happening in there. In Namami Ganga, we had come out with the HAM model, hybrid annuity model, where the concessionaire will have to build and operate for 15 years. One of the major problems of all the STPs which we built earlier under the Atal Yojana and the mega city projects and all these things, that they used to be more of a construction-oriented, contractor-driven projects. They used to construct it and leave it and never utilized. We, in fact, during one of our review in the Namami Ganga project, found that one STP built in 95 still not having electric connections in 2014. That's the type, because they were interested in construction, get the money and go, and they were the sewage plant was lying there without being used, and there was a lot of corruption. The bills of these STPs used to be they were never functional, but electricity were changed by selling those electricity to the neighboring industries and then claimed as STPs bill. So all these things were happening, but with a very vigilant NGT now coming in, these water bodies, pollution in the water bodies are being monitored. The Central Pollution Control Board is regularly reporting to the PMO as well as for the NGT pollution levels in various water body, various stretches of the rivers in the country, and things have improved a lot. And mainly because this was happening because the municipalities were cash strapped. They were not having money even to pay the wages of the employees. So for them, treating the water and then putting good water to the river was the last of the priorities. But things are changing because of the wealth which is now being discovered in the waste. Municipal waste is now, as Sir was also mentioning, getting converted to various products, the compost, and then used for generation of electricity and power, etc. That is also giving a lot of income to the municipalities. But the biggest one for many of the municipalities now is the wastewater. Gujarat, for example, is a classic case where municipalities are getting crores of rupees, much more than spent actually on the providing drinking water, because this water after treatment to the required level is being sold to the industrial units. In Gujarat, policy is that no industry can draw water from the ground or from the reverse if the water is available, treated water is available from a nearby municipality. Because of that, the municipalities are generating a lot of money. I am recently told in one of our water talks, the municipal commissioner of Surat was telling that they are getting almost 100 crores of rupees, more than 100 crores of rupees from the sale of treated water. So that's now becoming a good revenue source for the water. Then probably the municipalities also will look at it. So this is one innovation which business model of using the waste generated in the municipalities as a resource generator for the municipality, that will be taken up. We are also coming up with a national policy for this wastewater treatment. Actually, Gujarat, Haryana, and Rajasthan has a semblance of it, but very nicely implemented in Gujarat. Other areas is also there. Another source of water to be recycled and used is the grey water. In municipalities, these our grey water, there's the bath water and all goes to the sewage and is getting wasted. And this requires a lot of costly treatment. But grey water does not require that much of high quality treatment. So if we can segregate the grey water and the sewage water, and the sewage water can be treated with the processes as mentioned, following the NGT guidelines. But grey water, if they can be segregated and treated, we can get this water back at much cheaper cost and can be used to regenerate the water. So water body regeneration with grey water is a great source of water. So the 5 R's which we always speak about, or 3 R's which always we speak about, is the reduce, reuse, and recycle. Recycle, the part can be is there where the grey water can be with minimum treatment, it can be put back to the system and then used as non-potable water. We are also adding in the National Water Mission 2 more R's, that is the regenerate, and the last R is the respect for water. Water, as I said, is it is considered to be freely available, so there's no respect for water. And in most of the places, there are no charges for water also. So that's why the municipality also doesn't respect, because it doesn't give any income for them. And people think that it's getting free of cost. There's no respect for the water by the people also. Things are to change. We have to get back the respect for water, and then probably the water will have its prominence, and wastewater treatment and the regeneration of water bodies will happen automatically. So 3 or 4 points I will conclude by telling the problems which I face during the my experience in the water sector. One is that in the wastewater treatment sector, we find that the sludge which is generated is a big burden on the municipality. No post-treatment things are happening in the sludge. So that is one aspect which innovations have to look into it. How to use sludge. So they are telling that we can use it for fertilizer generation, we can do a lot of things, brick making, etc. Things have not taken off. Even though we have large STPs constructed in the Namami Gange project, we found that the sludge generated is being put in the open ground and getting dried and then lying there wasted. So something has to be done to market the sludge properly, generate wealth out of it. Then probably there will be more interest in getting the STPs running. Second is the resource recovery. This water used in sewage and industrial has a lot of resources in it that can be recovered. Resource recovery, innovation has to be done for resource recovery, so that the industry also will be interested in coming into this process at all. And yesterday, in fact, I had a video conference with the Nordic countries, where they have actually come out with a lot of innovative products which can be used in the water treatment. So one of the I think Nordic company, I think they were there. They had this segregator, very interesting segregator of municipal waste, with glass, then plastic PET bottles, and then plastic covers, organic garbage, all etc. can be segregated very fast using machinery. What the comparison of the figure, they say that one person doing 50 kilograms of municipal waste in one day, this machine could do about 7,000 kilos in 1 hour. So that's the type of the scale. So if these are all it may be having a lot of capex, but if these type of innovations can be, mechanization can be brought in, our cleaning would be much easier. The healthier environment will be there, and the people who are handling also will be healthier. We have looked at these innovations which is happening in other countries. Segregation, I said, They also showed some STPs which have very, very low footprints. Most of our aerated plants have large footprints. Land area is a problem in many of the urban areas now. That could be another innovation which you should try is the new STPs which have less footprint. The model, as I said, HAM model, the hybrid annuity model to run these STPs and the wastewater treatment plants could be one. Then probably these are some things which we should try to innovate and put it into the system so that system will be interested in running those STPs. What used to happen in India's country so far was they were all many STPs were built but never run. We should now look at focus on running these STPs and seeing that the water is treated and see that the rivers and the water bodies next to these urban bodies are clean and protected, and the sewage is untreated sewage doesn't go into it. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
So I once again thank the APEC for this innovative topic, and particularly a very contemporary and relevant topic with the COVID-19. Mask is one major source of pollution these days. Now I don't know what to do with masks coming up in the garbage. This has to be addressed. I'm sure that today and tomorrow's discussion will be very, very useful for getting the young people like Neetu and all who are here, who can get a lot of experience from this and then probably implement in their field. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. So that was Mr. G. Ashok Kumar, Additional Secretary and Mission Director with the Ministry of Jal Shakti, very passionately currently driving the water conservation mission across India, connecting district magistrates and commissioners. Thanks for sharing those insights, sir, about the funding model, the wealth model, how wealth out of source, and also about the mechanization in the municipalities and the management of the sewerage. Thank you very much, sir. We will be documenting your suggestions and solutions in our report, conclave report, and that will be going across the country to the policymakers. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. So with this, I would be moving on to a very important speaker who is an official with the United Kingdom government, that is British government. Currently, he is posted in Hyderabad, playing a very crucial role. He is often seen very proactively participating in social initiatives, which also includes the Swachh Bharat mission. And he is currently playing a role where he's promoting the business collaborations and trade between India and also the British government. Especially, his focus is he has taken the charge of the Telugu-speaking states, that is Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Join me in welcoming Dr. Andrew Fleming. He is the Deputy High Commissioner with the British High Commission for Hyderabad. Welcome, Mr. Andrew.
Good morning, everybody, fellow panelists and delegates. Like Sri Mishra, who gave the keynote speak, I also have to leave. I'm supposed to actually leave by 11 o'clock, but we'll see how we get on with that. But I do apologize to other speakers because what I've heard so far has been extremely interesting and useful, and I would like to have been able to be free to stay for the entire session. We are all conscious, I think, of the significance of managing waste in the contemporary era. Especially over the last decade, it has emerged as one of the most potent weapons against climate change and global warming, not to mention the devastating impact it has on our biodiversity and health, among other things. Yes, it's a fact, waste generation is an inevitable outcome of industrial progress and development. But for the aforementioned reasons, among others, efficient management of waste should be a top priority for any country. And I know from my conversations with senior figures in the Telugu-speaking states, it is a priority. Equally, quite clearly from speakers today, our keynote speaker, it's very much a priority for the government of India. And as you travel around these states and the wider country, it is clear that there are some great areas of success, but if we are very honest, success does vary. Setting up and implementing robust regimes for regulating and management of waste is an inseparable part of the developmental objective and environmental sustainability here, as it is indeed in any nation. And recycling and efficient management of waste saves energy and saves resources. It minimizes greenhouse gas emissions from landfills and encourages greater innovation in production and manufacturing processes. This T-shirt, which I was gifted a while ago, I'm holding it up. It is rather nice. This T-shirt, for example, is made from 14 plastic bottles, and it's part of a UNDP and Coca-Cola collaboration that I'm sure my friend from UNDP, Mr. Sodi, will speak about at some point. He is also part of the panel, and it's very nice to see you this morning, sir. But actually, the key point, and I'm reiterating to a point what Mr. Mishra said, everyone can contribute by even the most simple of things as using recycling containers to segregate waste, and if and where they have space at home, by also composting. These small and simple contributions multiplied by the millions, and millions of people live in Hyderabad, obviously even bigger numbers across the nation, can collectively have a huge impact. Owing to the change in urban lifestyle and Indian growth story, which is generating more waste than ever before, mechanisms for efficient management of waste become ever more important. Taking an example, India is struggling to dispose of its growing plastic waste, given how ubiquitous it has become, generating close to 26,000 tons of plastic a day. And the worst part of it is that over 10,000 of these tons remains uncollected. Due to shortage of land and dedicated high-tech facilities, managing waste is becoming one of the major concerns of authorities across the country. However, there are efforts to bring both local and at national level governments, multilateral agencies and NGOs working on this to manage the problem while concurrently creating business opportunities. And I think that is definitely part of the way forward. I'd like to, because time is limited, I'd like to move on to briefly talk about the very important year ahead. As you will know, the UK hosts the UN Climate Change Conference, known in short as COP26. This year is COP20, next year is COP26, which will take place in Glasgow, a year later than originally planned due to the pandemic in December 2021. The conference is an annual one, but every 5 years, and in this case 6 years due to the postponement, a larger conference takes place. The last hosts of one of these large conferences was France, which gave birth to the Paris Agreement, which I'm sure everybody who has joined this session is very familiar with. Ahead of COP26 starting, the UK are hosting a Climate Ambition Summit, actually taking place this very Saturday. And this will be important in demonstrating international cooperation on the Paris Agreement a year ahead of COP26. And as the terminology suggests, Climate Ambition Saturday will be an opportunity for nations to express their ambitions. On emission targets, for example, UK has set new highly ambitious targets ahead of COP. Our plan aims for at least 68% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by the end of the decade, compared to 1990 levels. Our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, announced ambitious new emissions target settings for the UK on the path to set net zero by 2050. And the UK is the first global economy to express such ambition, leading the way to tackling climate change globally. The UK formally commits to this at a timely point, just days ahead of the Climate Ambition Summit, and we very much hope others will follow in scaling up our ambition too. This target follows our Prime Minister's 10-point plan to create and support 250,000 jobs, whilst helping to eradicate our contribution to climate change as a nation. And the UK government have announced £50 million to invest in new clean energy innovation facility. This will help developing countries accelerate the commercialization of clean energy technologies, supporting clean growth and resilient recovery from COVID-19. And I think, although the focus of this session is very much on waste management and recycling, this wider context is important, because the area of waste management, in which I'm happy to say my government has demonstrated a lot of expertise and good work, is key to the discussions that will be taking place in Glasgow next year. And so I'm delighted that we've been able to collaborate with organisations, international organisations like the UNDP, and also with our partners from Italy, who are running the Youth for Climate event, which will take place ahead of COP in 2021. And we've already had engagement with young people on this issue. And clearly it is the youth that are the change makers. They hold the keys to a better, cleaner India and a better, cleaner world for us all and for those who follow us. So thank you very much for the invitation to speak today. I wish the 2 days conference will be a great success, and I very much look forward to reading your conclusions and report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that was Dr. Andrew Fleming. We are looking forward to as United Kingdom, Glasgow is going to be the host country and city for COP26. We are looking forward for it, for all the deliberations, which would be focusing on climate change, environment, and also related to the pollution. Thanks for sharing those insights, Dr. Fleming. We're glad that you have joined. Thank you very much. With this, we move on to our next speaker. She is with the United States U.S. Embassy in India. She heads the United States Trade and Development Agency for the South Asia region. She's also responsible for managing USTDA's South Asia office operations and leads its activities in advancing host country development priorities, US industry, trade interest, and US government's foreign policy objectives. India is USTDA's largest portfolio worldwide. That is, please join me in welcoming Ms. Mehnaz Ansari. Thank you very much. Mehnaz Ansari, Senior Regional Representative for South Asia, Indo-Pacific region for United States Trade and Development. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you for that kind introduction. And at the outset, thank you, Souvik, for continuing to champion a very important cause of trying to help make the world a better place by bringing all the stakeholders on various innovative subjects together. It was really heartening to hear Honorable Secretary today morning with the plan which Government of India has been laying down on the Swachh Bharat mission, or the Clean India campaign, and also, with the other speakers, I've had the privilege of working with while he was the joint secretary in civil aviation, Mr. Ashok Kumar, and now to see him in the in the role of championing the water and the wastewater management. So a great introduction of the efforts which government of India has been doing. He has always been a pioneer in a lot of these activities, even during his civil aviation days. And TDA, my agency, we have worked closely with him. Also, to hear the Honorable Deputy High Commissioner of UK, we were very heartened to see that they have also adopted WISAG for a resilient city effort. WISAG has also been a US TDA, US supported city for the smart city effort. So the activity continues, and more international players get onto the territory of WISAG to help it become kind of a model city for the rest of the country to follow. I would say in our work at TDA, Vizag is looked upon by not only Indian other cities, but also our work in other parts of the world as a classic example of the great work which they have been doing. And honored to be part of this session with Mr. Sodhi and others. So thank you so much at the outset for inviting me here. Well, waste management is such an important subject, and it has never been more important than the times in which we are currently, sitting in. Nobody remembers in the past 100 years a more testing time than what we are currently in. And really, this pandemic has brought the world to a whole standstill. While there were many leapfrog efforts which were taken on digital healthcare and education to make it digitized quickly and reach it to the rest of the world, I think the effort was also very magnanimous by the entire world to see the municipal waste management and the whole issue of management of waste during these COVID times, which had to take another turn. While we have been engaged with the smart cities work for quite some time, I think waste management shows itself through many paradigms which we see around us. And currently, especially the hygiene standards, and while we are living there or we are working or we are traveling, has come to a new level of people also being very careful, as Honorable Secretary in his very enlightening remarks was mentioning. I think it is still a huge challenge for everyone around the globe, and especially countries like India with 1.35 billion people. And we are certainly continuing to look at areas of innovative cooperation which we can provide in effective project managements and project plannings, which can help with some of the waste disposals and waste uh, recycle reuse initiatives. So I won't go into too much of statistics, but currently India generates about 62 million tons of waste, which is the annual figure. And it is out of which 31 million is dumped in landfill sites and 11.9 million is treated. So I think waste is also a good business opportunity, waste management, for companies who are trying to innovate and look into this sector, and see what could be the innovative ways for waste management to producing energy, which has been a very talked about subject for many years. And we as an agency have global experience in looking at those projects. Waste management from a municipal or a city perspective, of the impression and the kind of infrastructure which is needed, not only to manage and keep it look clean, but wherever you are taking that waste, either you're throwing it, dumping it in waters or dumping it on landfills, what happens next to it is a huge issue which has to be managed. And I think this is also one of the areas, as you have correctly identified in this session today, to post COVID, I was hearing Additional Secretary Kumar talk about, pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, and after COVID. Those kind of things are coming up. I think the opportunities for looking at more innovative and solutions which begin at home for all of us to be responsible citizens, but also for businesses to look at new opportunities. It has just been pretty advanced, and the pandemic will make it easier for local governments to adopt to these technological solutions, hopefully more quickly than in the past. In the past, it used to take a long time for technology to be adopted by the players, and by the time, with the evolution of technology at a pace which we all can't keep up, uh, I think it is time that we start taking more proactive actions, especially for areas like healthcare and municipal solutions, which impact us directly. And pre-vaccine or pro-vaccine, post-vaccine, this will continue to remain a requirement for everyone to follow. As I mentioned, for TDA, US TDA, the agency which I work for, we have been engaged with the waste management projects for a very long time, and we see that renewable uh, energy companies, or biomass and waste to energy companies from US have been seeing this as a huge market opportunity globally for them to bring in better solutions, like lower volume of municipal solid waste has disrupted input streams of waste to energy plants. So that is something which we have to what would be the COVID impact of a company first trying to collect waste and then doing it converting it into some form of a more usable item. The deputy high commissioner showed a t-shirt made of 12 plastic bottles. Well, those are also the examples where you need to have an effective and an impactful supply chain management. And first we produce less waste, and then we use that waste to bring out more effective outcome, is the technological innovation probably we are looking at. Globally, we have worked with many companies, and I can um, um, name a few companies here, like Sierra Energy, All Power Labs, uh, Biomass Power Association. There's so many companies and municipalities in US which have shown some classic examples of how the waste can be converted into a more reusable source. And uh, a company like SSI Shredding Systems, based out of Orlando, or All Power Labs. Now there is nothing called a US market and an Indian market. I think everyone is talking of global markets, and what we have to do is create enough opportunities for those innovations to come faster and quicker, in terms of an effective planning, and then in terms of an implementation of the plan, where I would really hope that the local authorities who are responsible for the management of that waste will start looking at those international players also with the same lens of bringing in new and faster innovation. To keep up with the pace of this COVID impact, what we did at US Trade and Development Agency a couple of months ago in October, we launched what we are calling a Global Infrastructure Resilience Initiative. So I think the word which stood out during this COVID, which we are still reeling through, is resilience. And I think to create an initiative where we help plan countries to mitigate the impact of disruptive events by helping plan, finance, and I would underline the word finance, because I think that is a very critical element of all the work which is done, procure, and then sustain resilient infrastructure. So these are some of the words which are very important in our entire step or stages of planning and procurement, is that we are looking at a sustainable and a resilient infrastructure. And when those infrastructures are adopted, there is a mechanism which is inbuilt for continuing to uh, modernize with it, live with it, and adapt to it. This initiative, which we launched last month, is helping US infrastructure solutions in the space of energy, transport, healthcare, agribusiness, smart cities to allow frontier and emerging markets maintain a continuity of operations during disruptions caused by global pandemics, weather, cyber attacks. There was a mention of weather impact in the recent flood, and we often see that, with the flood impacted cities around the globe where we work, that these are sometimes unmanageable sudden impacts, and it is a huge lift on the authorities to provide a solution. So better plan ahead of what can be the future of these disruptions which are coming through nature to us, and also cyber attacks, security events, and other disruptive events that impact economic activity and development. I think a huge example of that for all of us who live in the northern part of India is the air. And the stubble burning has always been an issue which comes up every October end for the last couple of years in India as the air turns white. The smog takes over all our lives, and the quality of air, which everyone is breathing, is far worse than anything which is around us, or any disease which can impact us. So we have been looking at also these issues of air quality, water quality, wastewater management, as well as municipal waste management and waste to energy, to provide resilience in identify innovative financing solutions to help implement new infrastructure and support ongoing maintenance, operation, and recovery of infrastructure during the periods of economic shock. There are examples which are around us in water management and distribution to mitigate drought, backup telecommunication, technology to provide civic services and healthcare services during pandemic, which are extremely innovative, not very high cost, low cost, and very they can blend into the system. The thing is, we also have to adopt the culture. And while I recall working with the Vizag and Ajmer and Allahabad smart city development, when waste management came up from the civic perspective or the citizen perspective, I think 2 bags, 1 bin. I'm calling into this meeting from my house in Bangalore. Cities like Bangalore and Vizag have adopted, which is extremely complementary to the work, to the whole effort of recycling and reusing that waste, and also providing incinerators and in the apartment complexes, reuse of wastewater. These are small steps. The last event where I participated in the APAC event was on water management. And from water management to waste management, all these are integrated activities. We are also looking at since I cover the region, the South Asia region, I think a huge waste management effort goes around this region, and India especially can set out some examples of showing, novice solutions, adopting from either international solutions or innovating them locally with the local as well as international players, to showcase to the other, the regional countries, the region which is also always looking up to India for such solutions. And we at USTDA try to take those examples from the places where we have worked in to showcase to to the partner countries in South Asia, which is a better and an easier showcase than taking them all the way to US to showcase the technologies. So this is also a paradigm which Indian authorities should look at. It's already a model, but to continue to be that pioneer and leader even in waste management, to showcase to the rest of the world, the smaller countries around India, and see how this can be implemented. A very important aspect which impacts some of this is procurement. Pilot projects are easy to happen. Implementation is the challenging part. And to help with the public procurement, because a lot of this is related to the civic authorities or the management of waste, USTDA has also launched a global procurement initiative program, which establishes procurement practices and policies that integrate life cycle cost analysis and best value determination in a fair, transparent manner. This is a training which we provide in partnership with World Bank as we continue to look at more cleaner and safer technologies and standards to be maintained around the projects which we have been working in. We have recently partnered with Government of India, with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, to help them prepare a national urban innovation stack, which is a cutting-edge smart city tool to drive innovation, data-driven governance, and capacity building across more than 100 smart cities. So these are the examples where today waste is also smartly or should be smartly integrated. And I think Government of India can leapfrog again in this segment of digitization of waste management to be a very important sector and subject, and provide sustainable urban development through a consortium of digital platforms, including e-governance applications. I recall an example with the officials from Government of India. We did uh, a trip to Washington, D.C., where the garbage bins which are kept in the city have a sensor which is built into them. And once the sensor is filled to a threshold, the message goes back to the city control room, the civic management control room, for them to get instructions to get it emptied, picked up, and cleaned and reestablished back. So there are, and those sensors are not very expensive. They are just innovative. The integration of the data which is created with all this into an efficient management is very, very important. We recently engaged with a technology demonstration of helping convert the paddy waste into biofuels. So biofuels is also an example which is of waste management, which can be certainly looked at as a strong model of supporting the waste initiatives. So, in a nutshell, with all the examples, with all the technologies, innovative programs, and solutions which are going around us, I think at the outset, I always advocate that let's all become a little more conscious citizens, because what we preach, first we should practice. And the other is that let's move on to a management of producing less waste, and then managing the waste to its maximum capacity, where we are giving it back from where we picked it up. And whatever is left can be managed into recycle and producing new clothes, or as was shown on this event today, but also in other activities which are recycle is a big business opportunity which has been picking up for many innovative companies around. So we are again happy to support India in its innovative journey of waste management, be it water, be it energy, be it transport, or other sectors, and help come up with resilient solutions for a sustainable and good infrastructure for generations to come. Thank you once again for this opportunity to join this event today, and look forward to the outcomes and the solutions and the ideas which we could take in our projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So that was Mehnaz Ansari, who is a senior representative with USTTA. We are glad to know that USTTA is supporting the smart city mission and working towards the global infrastructure resilience for the air quality, waste, and also you also touched upon the digitization of waste management, which is very, very important. And the punchline, the message line is like conscious living. Conscious living needs to be adapted by the citizens, and producing less waste and managing the waste through recycling.
Good to see you,
Thank you very
Menas.
much.
Good to
Those
see you after a
messages
long
and
time.
Same here, sir. Good to see you in the water mission now, from the skies to the water. It's great to see you here again today. We will connect after this meeting.
So thank you very much. So that was Mehnaz Ansari, senior representative with USTDA, and so now we would be moving on to yet another speaker, an eminent personality. The organization is doing some amazing work in terms of plastic recycling, waste management. A senior official with the United Nations Development Program. He is the head for circular economy. He assumed this charge uh, uh, in January 2018. Prior to this, he was country program manager for the Global Environment Facility, UNDP's small grants program for over 14 years. He was the government of India in KRIBHCO for a period of 13 years. He also holds a rich experience in shipping and fertilizer industry. Mr. Sodhi has a diversified experience of leading and implementing projects in a wide range of areas, which includes plastic waste management to climate change, natural resources, land development to livelihoods of poor and marginalized in tribal areas. For the last 36 years, he is a passionate and open and reflective individual. So that was Mr. Prabjot Sodhi, is the head circular economy with UNDP. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to all the co-panelists on the panel. A very good afternoon to all of you. Nearly good afternoon. So respected Mishra ji and Andrew Fleming, Mr. Ashok Kumar, Sudhir, and Mehnaz Ansari and Souvik. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be among you, to share my views on the subject that you have lined, which is of very important in today's dynamic approach, which is happening in the country all over. It was very interesting to listen to the speakers preceding me and redefining how to be working in the pandemic. Let me take 2 minutes to tell you what we are doing in the UNDP. As you said, Souvik, we are engaged in the plastic collection, segregation, and recycling. UNDP did not take to plastics in the last 2 or 4 years, although I've been handling this charge from 2018, but I was earlier working in plastics from 2008 to 2010. And we were then working on models and approaches which were more community-led, citizens-driven, and the Safai Sathis, the waste warriors, whom we call them today. So we started with an idea that this thin and litter plastic needs to be collected, which is of a big problem. Although plastic is not that bad an element, but it has become a devil in the whole process because of its mismanagement being done by all of us. So with regrets, I say, and with all due respects to each and one in this world. But yes, there has been a mismanagement. So what we did, we started in 2018 under the new extended producer responsibility guidelines, which were emerging under the polluters pay principle of the Ministry of Environment and Forest and the Central Pollution Control Board. We started working on a system which partnered with the existing system of waste management, which is the civic bodies. The municipal bodies or the municipal corporations or the municipalities through the Ministry of Urban Affairs and Housing have been mandated to do this. But that does not mean that they by constitution are the only ones who are responsible for it. We as constitution, as citizens of this country are equally responsible under the constitution to bring our duties to manage the waste effectively. That means segregate at source in our houses, segregate the wet and the dry and the hazardous home waste, which is now emerging a big issue, as Mehnaz also said it. And Mr. Ashok Kumar was very pertinently saying that I'm getting these pandemic related gloves and masks, and how to manage this is becoming a big issue. But over the years, as both the speakers in the from the ministry government had very strongly emphasized with the innovative approaches and Swachh Bharat phase 1, and now the incoming of the phase 2, linking up the rural and the urban divide together, has been of a major success, and the Smart Cities program is throwing up many ideas. So we came up to set up systems with the companies like Coca-Cola, Hindustan Unilever, and HDFC Bank to come up with a system how we can partner to really take the collection, segregation, recycling to a new effect. And what we started was partnering the ULBs in the cities and then creating those decentralized small MRFs, the material recovery facilities, where the material from the waste pickers, from the kabadiwalas, from the informal sector, and through largely the ULBs comes to those centers. It is segregated. We are segregating in cities. We have established about 20 MRFs till now in the country, with more than 30 partnerships with the city commissioners in different cities. This is not a very big. In one city, you can have many centers like this. We have done in Mumbai 4 right now. We are doing 2 in Patna. We are doing 2 in Hyderabad. Each center has a capacity of 5 to 10 tons of hardcore plastics to be managed, or 10 to 12 tons of the dry waste. We are doing about more than 30 different fractions of the waste segregation. We don't call it waste, we call it as a resource, because each little fraction of the so-called waste has value to it. And that is why the whole informal sector has been earning money. There has been huge informal sector which has been earning across the level in the country, and which has been handling our waste in a form. We in our own houses have been handling our newspapers and bottles and have been giving. Then why not plastics? So that is a new event which has come into us. And second thing which we did was to create the traceability of this waste or the material flow, right from the source to the end point. The end point is the recyclers, the source is the household, and in between that, the ecosystem, how many stakeholders are there, we need to bring them together and benefit them. So this traceability was very important, in which the ULB was centrally positioned. And we were doing all this partnership with the ULBs, giving them the system that this is how we are picking up the waste and trying to recycle. And we would like the verification to be done. And these are the certifications, invoices, and other things. We created a whole systemic approach around it. And we were the first ones to really get into the movement of the EPR. I'm also on the committee of the EPR and also in drafting the various plastic guidelines with the government, particularly the Ministry of, from where Mr. Ashok Kumar comes, Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. So third aspect which we focused was the inclusive growth for these waste pickers. So they are left on their own while they are doing the dirty work. And we treat them with disdain, with due regards. They need to be respected the most, because they are the ones who are really cleaning our waste. And what we have emphasized is we form them into small groups. We will create access of identity to them. We will create a sort of insurances for them, all health, general, and other forms of insurances. You would not imagine that when the pandemic broke, these were the people who were hit the most. Neither the waste was coming in much in an organized manner. Neither they were allowed to go and visit to sort out the waste because of the pandemic was at a high, and they were at the most risk. We created travel permits for them. We created, identity cards for them. We opened their bank accounts in order to give them opportunities for incomes. And of course, rations and other supplies, which government created in a tremendous way. And what little help we could do, we did it. And many philanthropies within the country like yourselves. So I think so. The fourth important part which we linked into this whole systemic approach was the link to the recyclers. Now, the recycler industry is the most important industry in the sector. And why the recycling should all be done only for the plastic? We should have EPR extension for all sectors. It should come up in steel, it should come up in cement, it should come up in agriculture, it should come up. After all, what is the recycling or the EPR? It is trying to put value addition. It is trying to make resource efficiency and waste minimization. Now, waste does not mean plastic alone or solid waste alone. Waste can be in any form of any sector. And to tell you, Britain is one of the first countries which brought On textiles, the EPR. So they said 1 square meter, every cent will be charged for the production. So the producers in the textiles will have to pay this much, and they are laying up the system how this textile needs to be brought back into recycling. They are coming up on the C&D waste, the construction and demolition waste. India is also opening up through the Niti Aayog in a big way on recycling sector, coming up with a lot of innovative policies, and I must congratulate both the MOHUA, the Niti Aayog and the other ministries who are really making efforts to get into this stream of how things can be made better and innovative. Task force have been created, wider discussions have been done with all stakeholders to bring about conclusions to how to go forward and still come back to reflect again on them to find out what is working better and what is working the best. So I think we really need to invest and handle more and more systems approaches in sorting out these extended producer responsibilities. I would like to also mention UNDP has taken a little big step on its own into strengthening the inclusivity of the waste pickers under a project called Uthan, which we are investing through our own funds and linking it through others in order to really focus, while the project is doing focus on the inclusivity of these waste pickers, but they're in huge numbers. And we cannot move out from the plastic domain and really focus on them. So we have started a project separately for this, where we are going to take care of all what I said earlier, including their incomes, including their livelihoods, their lives and livelihoods to move together, and taking care of them to be safe and secure in these pandemics and other problems which these people are exposed hands-on. So their life is all meant to be at the waste picking, and they are exposed and vulnerable to a very great extent. So that's one thing which we have started. We have also started a very innovative thinking around it. In cities like Delhi, we have recently done with the New Delhi Municipal Corporation, with the South Delhi Municipal Corporation, in Rishikesh, in Goa, in Vijayawada, and not in Vijayawada, but in Hyderabad, and many other cities it is getting into the plans is that we did it earlier before the pandemic broke. Bring your plastic, take away thela. Plastic lao, thela pao. Now we have started plastic lao, mask pao. So citizens of these cities, of this country have to be a part of this unfold. And so people are coming very much. We have at prominent places put there. New Delhi Municipal Corporation has come with an app. Those who are coming, simple app. You just fill in your name, your telephone number and your email ID, and you just press and take a pledge, and it will come back to you as a certificate. So these are some of these things which we are trying to do. The NDMC, New Delhi Municipal Corporation, has come out with this app, and they have really put it. So this is a pure public-private partnership. Now with the recycling, Andrew Fleming was very kind to put the words across, and that so PET is very good recycling material. All the terralines and terracottes and polyesterines are all plastics. So even the cloth which we are wearing many times other than cotton has plastics in it. So we were trying to recycle the PET through the recycling system and come out with these products. We have shredded multi-layer, and we have shredded the thin multi-layered plastics, the thin LDP, HDPs, and put them into condensed boards. We have put this as a technology within the CPCB to be taken up, while the waste to energy are big life. But there are other technologies which can easily be brought into this picture, because we have an informal sector to take care, and which runs to about more than 5 million. And if we take the street vendors, there are another 10 million. So these are the ways we are anchoring on. And MOHUA, the other day we were there with them they have started some very innovative programs for the street vendors. They are giving loans. They have sanctioned loans. Those people are accessing those loans, and they are going forward. But I'll close down in another 2-3 minutes. The whole impact that we can make is that we need to put for 2-3 suggestions. Is that why not we have industrial parks where we have got industries to give economic value to the whole system and the whole country? and we give them various benefits. And of course, recycling is a part of that industrial park. But why cannot we have recycling hubs in every state? We can create special investments for the recyclers, and we can also give them. I have had many opportunities to talk with the very senior officials in the state pollution control boards, and they are very keen to come forward and give them the CTOs, the consent to the various startups and various functionings. But those people need to. There is a big gap between them. So there has to be a proper link between the recycling industry, particularly for plastics, where the investments and the technology and the retake needs to take place through proper recycler hubs, which can be created, because the growth of the plastic is never going to stop. We are embedded in plastic. I start my day, and even if I don't want to touch plastic, I am forced to do it. Whether I go to buy a bread, that's in plastic. I take my bag, but still I buy the bread in plastic. Anything packaged is in plastics. Even the sanitizer which we are using during the pandemic is in a plastic bottle. So plastic is not bad. It's the most non-reactive, cheap, light material. But the problem is that we are not recycling it enough. We are not getting it to the recycling mode. It's being picked up or littered. And that's where the problem comes. Second thing which I want to leave with you is that how the waste pickers or the waste warriors or the Safai Sathis are given dignity and respect. Ashok Kumar ji said a beautiful word. He said, I am very keen to give rejuvenation to water. He said, I want to give respect for water, respect towards water. That's exactly what we need to really think. A very, very right step in the right direction. We also need to start thinking how we can create dignity and respectfulness for this particular part of the society, which is the waste pickers, the waste warriors. Government is doing enough. Now they're talking about migrants and they're talking about all this. But I will leave it here. Thanks for giving me this opportunity and to focus in a more integrated manner. There are many things which can be done more. Over the next cup of tea, we will have to share them. Thank you very much, please.
So that was Prabjot Sodiji. It's a pleasure, sir, to listening to you, and I am really amazed. We are doing amazing about the Uddhan initiative for the rag pickers. And as you mentioned, every state or every city needs a industrial park where there is a recycling hub. I hope the policymakers take this up, and I hope there is a progress. Your team is working towards that, collaborating with the government towards the recycling hub. And there is a perception like plastic is bad, but you said plastic is not bad, but how to recycle it is the important thing. So I hope there's a strong message going towards the plastic management. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural session of day one of APAC Global Waste Management and Innovation Conclave. We would be coming up with a conclave report of all the talks, solutions, and the challenges put forward by the eminent speakers in the inaugural session. And in the following day, we have some vibrant sessions lined up with speakers, especially like policymakers such as commissioners, district collectors, and also those who are in the industry. So, so you were referring to Ashok Kumar sir towards giving respect to water. So, which is very important. At the same time, Sodhi ji also mentioned about giving respect to the plastic, which needs to be recycled. Rather, it's not bad. And at the same time, Mehnaz ji touched upon the conscious living. So, with this, I hand over the session to my colleague, Mr. Souvik Goswami, co-founder and group editor with APAC News Network.
Thank you, everybody.
Sorry, that's the problem with using technology. So, as you rightly said, Sudhir, that we had the presence of eminent leaders and stakeholders from government, from international agencies, and also who all gave their perspective on the use of waste management, the importance of waste management to build up a comprehensive urban ecosystem. Durga Shankar Mishra, Secretary, Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, talked a very important point. He said that innovation and technology is very important, but we as a society, we also have to be responsible to ensure that waste management is happening effectively. Mehnaz Ansari from USTDA touched upon the collaborative efforts by US government and Indian government with various smart cities and how technology and innovation can be leveraged for building up smart cities with special focus on waste management. She gave a reference of a US city where the sensors are there in the chip in those bin, which goes automatically to the city administration when those are full. So those kind of innovations can be also leveraged in India, and that's how the knowledge sharing platform like this is very important, where we can have best of the minds coming together and discuss upon various aspects of the important issue of waste management. Mr. Prabjot Sodhi talked upon various initiatives of UNDP and also talked about plastic recycle. That's very important. And G. Ashok Kumar, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, National Water Mission, Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India. He talked about the importance of water waste management and recycling, as Mr. Sodhi was saying. G. Ashok Kumar touched upon a very important issue of respect for water. We can also have respect for waste management. We as a citizen also have to play our part on that. And Dr. Andrew Fleming, Honorable Deputy High Commissioner UK, also shared some of his vision on how UK and India can leverage more in the waste management sector. With this, we come to the end of the inaugural of first edition of Global Waste Management Innovation Conclave. We again, on behalf of APEC News Network, thanks all our eminent speakers who have been part of the inaugural session. We'll take a short break, and after that, we'll come with the next session. Throughout the day, we'll have various sessions on various aspects of waste management, where we'll see presence of district magistrates, municipal commissioners, waste management experts, and waste management technological leaders. They will be also here. And tomorrow, the entire day is dedicated to startups, because we can see startup and innovators are also doing their bit for effective waste management. With this, over to you, Sudhir, and we move into a short break for the next session. Thank you so much for joining us today in the inaugural.